lovely is the feeling now. Fever, temperature's rising now. Power is the force, the vow that makes it happen. It has no questions why. Come on, get closer, baby, to my body now.
Get closer to my body.
Come on and love me till you don't know how. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Touch me, and I feel on fire. There ain't nothing, no, like a love desire. I'm melting like a candle wax. Sensation, lovely where we're at. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Take us through the hours. I won't be complaining, no, 'cause this is a love cry. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on with the force, don't stop till you get enough. Keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to Buzzwords and Music. I'm here this evening with the lovely and talented Melissa Ellen. Melissa has been an artist, a singer, an artist, a writer, a NARIS member, a Grammy voting member. She's currently working at Jan Smith Studios as a vocal coach, which we'll dive into a little bit later on. So let's have a big round of applause for Melissa. Yay, okay, crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes.
How you doing
Right.
tonight?
How am I doing?
Yes.
Me?
Now, if these are too tough, let me know. I'll slow them down a little
Right.
bit. You're all verklempt.
I'm fabulous, thank you.
Good.
You know that about me.
I noticed there's a piano over there in the corner. That's very nice.
Yes. Yes, thank you. A friend of mine is letting me borrow it, Buzz.
Really? For
Yes.
how many years now?
I've been borrowing your uh, gig keyboard for I don't know 3 years.
Well, that tells you how long it's been since I've had a gig.
Oh yeah, sorry. Whoops.
No, I don't gig locally anymore. So
Yeah.
um,
Oh yeah, you just do the international stuff.
that's right. That and nobody wants me because they've heard me play here.
Very
So
funny.
so
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's get started with more about you. Uh,
Okay.
so let's start you in easily here. Where are you from originally?
Northeastern Pennsylvania.
Northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
that
they call it NEPA.
NEPA?
Yeah, that's what they call it. So
Really?
it's close to Scranton where they film The Office or
Mhm.
where it's supposedly from.
Takes place, yeah.
Yeah, it takes place, yeah.
Yeah,
The town,
unless you're from a soundstage
right,
in
exactly.
LA or something. But
Yeah.
so you're
Yeah, so
from
it's very close
Pennsylvania.
to there. Yeah, very close to there. Yeah.
Is that where you kind of started developing your musical chops?
No. No, actually, I mean, yes and no. I always wanted to sing as a kid,
Right.
but I was from the town I was from is actually called Kingston. It was very small,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't much happening there, just a little suburb. So I did what I could. I mean, I wanted to sing, so I did the talent shows, and I did, in high school, I did theater, musical theater, you know,
Right.
and then
Choirs, those kind of things, or no?
choir, chorus. Yeah, I did that. And I actually was in a hand-picked choir
Ooh.
of a smaller group. We were called the Spartan Singers. Yes.
More of the sparse singers,
Yes, right.
since there were
Yes.
only a few of you. Uh,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I moved to Atlanta to go when I was 18 to go to school, and I lived down here with my mom, and that's when I actually started music stuff.
oh, so that's when you like got involved
Yeah.
professionally, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while, but yes, I did. The Creative Loafing, the entertainment newspaper.
Yes.
I was answering every ad and going to a million auditions for everything. I even did some acting. I even did the choir, the performance choir at Georgia State University.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did just whatever I could,
Right.
basically. And then I started, when I was 19, I met Jan and started taking lessons with her. And still, like I said, trying everything, every audition, everything I could find.
Right. How did you come across your very first professional gig, and what was that like?
Oh, that's a funny story. I was
We like
working with,
funny stories.
yeah, oh, this one's hilarious. I
Okay.
was working with this guy, Frank, who I met through some a creative loafing thing, right? So I guess auditioned with him. We got together. We were working up all our songs to do a duo, and he had to go to the store. He went to the music store, and he was late for practice, and he came back with this guy, Tom. So he met Tom in the music store. Tom followed him back to the house, and the three of us started practicing. And then Tom, who was already a longtime professional, had a gig at, it was actually a Bon Voyage party, private parties that he did all the time, made great money.
Uh huh.
And he didn't feel like he was a very strong singer, so he asked if I would sing, and we would have a duo. And that was my first professional one, and I was totally afraid to sing. And
Wait a minute.
I
Wait, wait,
did
wait,
it.
wait, wait. Now, you busted out of NEPA
Yeah,
because you couldn't sing, you couldn't get
because I
work.
couldn't. You mean because
Well,
I didn't have any?
because you didn't have anywhere to sing.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
You load up the truck. You move to Atlanta.
Uh huh.
You
Auditioned everywhere.
you audition everywhere. You answer ads and
Dabbled with bands, different bands. Yeah.
and you get a gig and you're afraid to sing.
Not only afraid, I would not sing. I was on stage. They actually had a stage in their house.
Uh huh. Of course.
And of course, yeah.
Who
And so,
doesn't?
right, right. So he's playing guitar and he's doing some singing, and I'm like almost standing behind him. And he's like, okay, you want to go ahead and sing one? And I was like, no. I like stood, no, I don't want to. Like, finally, he got me to sing, and I would, but it was so funny because I just like freaked out. I'm like, this is for real. So,
And now here we are. I don't know how many years later, and we can't get a microphone out of your hands,
that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
If anybody who has not had an opportunity to hear you sing, you have two CDs.
Yes.
Both, I think you had a fabulous producer on both of
I
them, if
did,
I
Glenn.
remember.
Yes.
I
It was
can't. The
you and
guy's
you.
name
Yeah.
escapes me.
Funny.
Uh, but no, when this kind of brings us to when I met you, which was in '99, if you
Right.
recall.
Right.
And I don't know how you heard about me, or if you even heard about me. You just happened to show up at the studio I was running at the
Hey,
time.
I still don't remember how that happened. But at that point, I had been, since 1990, I had been teaching voice. I had been taking voice for almost 5 years, and then I started teaching alongside of Jen.
Right.
And so I started teaching with her, and then I also had been doing gigs. So that was like 9 years at least when I met you. And
Yeah.
I
Because
don't know how I ended up there.
I don't remember the circumstances. I remember you had done an album with a friend of mine, or you did four songs with, and I won't mention any names, but
Okay.
you act like you don't even remember
I
who
don't
it was.
know. I don't remember.
You had been working with a gentleman named Ken.
Oh, okay, right. Right. I love him. Okay, he's so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were working with Ken, and you brought the CD to the studio. And again, I don't know how you found me, sought me out, or whatever, but I popped it in, and I went, "Oh yeah, this is a pretty good demo. You got some nice songs." And I think at that time you had considered it your album. It was going to be your EP or something, because
Okay.
you had a cover for it, the whole
I
bit.
did.
You went
Yeah.
by the name Melon,
Yes.
which
I
is
did.
a childhood nickname for Melissa Ellen.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you know.
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to tell the story of
Yeah.
how Melon came into being.
All right. No, we'll
But
go with
you
that.
know what was funny though is when we did start working together. Before I knew your name was Melon, I used to write it on my calendar that way because I didn't want to write Melissa Ellen. I would just write MEL and an apostrophe N. So that
Ah, okay.
so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, you brought this CD, and I really don't know the circumstances which said let's work on this together. But I kind of pirated the four songs that you had, and then I
Yeah.
think we added some more.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to finish the record. I got to do all the music,
Right.
but then you had to go. You had
Wasn't me, it was you.
what?
I didn't have to go anywhere. You
No,
had to go.
you didn't let me finish.
Okay, sorry. You're the interviewer. Go ahead. Okay.
No, I was just going to say you had to go somewhere else to do your vocals because I was in the midst of going through well, I was going through a divorce. So it was taking up a lot of my mental space.
Right.
But fortunately, I had finished all your music, and we were going to have to go somewhere else to do your vocals at that point anywhere. And I think you had chose Jeep because you had
Hmm.
worked with Jeep Hook,
Right.
who who
Yeah, I did. I had worked with him prior, actually, when he first moved to this country. He's from London. So when he first moved to this country, I did work with him. And
right,
then,
he was married to Basha. Was that or
yeah, at one point,
at
yeah.
one point? Yeah.
Yeah. when he lived in Europe. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So,
I think he had a couple marriages. But yeah.
well,
Anyway.
yeah. So, I couldn't finish the record. All I could do was say, here's all the tracks. I'll send them over to Jeep. You can cut your vocals. I trust that you knew how to sing well. I knew you could sing. So you guys actually finished the record up, and
Right. Yeah, I
he mixed
recorded
it.
everything. I recorded everything there, and we added a song. We wrote a
Right,
song and added it on there. Yep.
right.
And I put a song on there that was one of his from a long time ago.
Ah.
That was that old school love. Remember?
So it was just kind of funny that we kind of co-produced a record without ever working together.
Yeah.
We met once or twice. You had mentioned before that we met at your album release party, which
Oh, okay.
well, that's what you had said, because he played.
I know that's not where we met.
No, no, no. I had met him once at least.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.
You had said
Got
I'd
it.
met him there as well. I went to his
Yeah.
studio with you once,
Right.
and then apparently I met him at your album release that
Yeah.
happened to coincide with my birthday.
Right.
So,
Which, of course, I did on purpose.
of course, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He played in the band that night too. Jeep did.
right, that's what you were. That's what I meant when because you
Right.
said he
Okay.
worked with you on that evening.
Mhm.
He played guitar,
Yes. Yeah. He
and
played guitar. Wait a minute. No, he must. Who the heck played bass then?
I don't know. I was just there.
Ken might have played bass.
Maybe.
Ken might have played bass. So I had two. Then Tom and Jeep both played guitar, I guess.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
there. I was just soaking up the atmosphere.
Right. Yeah.
you know. So so that I guess that record came out right around late 99, early 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time you were still working for Jan Smith, right? At her
Mm-hmm.
studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you then you started a second album not too far
Right.
after.
Yes.
We always kept in touch. I think we even actually did a couple of gigs here and there together.
We did. Yeah.
When there was nobody else that you could get to do it.
No, I'm
Uh,
thinking when there was no other singers that were available, you called me. They were
No,
your gigs.
no, I did some with you.
You did?
Yeah.
With,
Well, either way, we've done some gigs together in addition to recording.
okay, good.
So,
And
I'm
let me interrupt you and tell the
sure.
background because I didn't just start working on the album. I find this story to be interesting, and I think our viewers would appreciate.
Okay, because I'm
Let me take the mic, Buzz.
right. No, you go right ahead because all I can do is pick up from where I knew.
Right. Okay. So initially, what happened is I was going to record a bunch of songs for my mother because she always wanted me to do that. I mean, I had done it for so like every few years I would record for her and give her a cassette.
Right.
And at this point, it was up to CDs. So now I was going to make a CD for her, just for her and my husband at the time, Tom, who was the guitar player that I had already been working with for years. He and I went to Jeep Studio and started recording just a bunch of cover tunes of acoustic tunes that, and I was just going to do it for my mom, right? And so the thing was that I didn't really feel like I had my originals prepared. I wasn't really making an album. I was just doing this for my mom. And I took advantage of this opportunity to just kind of go and do my own versions of things, just the way I felt like it, and got really creative with it, which was kind of cool. For me, I was always singing like in cover bands. I had my original stuff, but then I made an excellent living and
Sure.
doing cover material with our band. And So I never got to sing things. It was like, you're a live jukebox, you're a human jukebox when you're doing that. So it's not like I could stray from, I mean, it's a whole different thing now. Back in the day, it was like, no, it's got to be this way. So we were basically uh, doing everything exactly like the record, right?
Right.
So when I got in the studio with Tom and I'm doing this for my mom, I thought, well, okay, I want to do these on my own versions. And I decided what songs, and then I had Tom play the acoustic guitar on everything. And they were different tempos, different keys, majors, minors, just doing different things. And that's all I was going to do, except that I wanted to put percussion on there because I really like rhythms, right?
Now, we're still talking the first record, or
This is the one that I came to you with.
which one? Well, because we
we did the first one. That was the original.
Okay, so now we're on to the second one. All right,
Yeah,
I
so
got
now
you.
we're on to the second one. Yes. So this one that was just for my mom ended up becoming an album because I guess Joseph listened to it.
Joseph, you had involved Joseph in it.
Okay, so I had him play bass, and I
Right.
also had Jeep brought in this guy Omar, and he's playing percussion. So it just kind of evolved, and it was like tons and tons and tons of rhythm, and then just some acoustic guitar. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, and that's when Joseph came to me one evening. We were doing a gig on my rooftop when I lived on the in the mattress factory in the lofts.
In the
and,
warehouse, right?
and we had a great view up on the roof and everything, and it was a great night. So he
Yeah.
and Joseph, Phil, and myself were playing. Well, anyway, on a break, Joseph calls me over and he's like, "Dude, I'm working on this record with Melissa, and it could really use your touch on it." And I said, "Well, she hasn't asked me about it yet." And he's like, "I'm asking you.
Yeah,
Talk to her."
and let's just say that's because it was a budget thing, and it was just for my mom.
Right.
Okay.
Which, well, we'll get to that part in a minute.
Yes, I know. We'll tell that
Yeah,
story.
yes,
Yeah.
you love when I tell that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so anyway, I don't know if it was he or you that played me some of the stuff that had been going on, but I said we can make this next level. And
Right.
I know you were doing all, maybe for your mom, like you were saying, but they were all songs that you grew up with that meant
Yeah.
something to you, and shaped you as a singer and things like that. So by the time I came in, we had the project had left Jeeps.
Right. So let me just say this would be the third iteration because first it was just me and Tom doing acoustic.
Right.
And then I decided I was going to get creative. Okay, I'm going to spend a little more time on it. And I put bass and percussion, and I just really loved the rhythmic stuff. So that was two. Then the album was done. Okay.
No.
It was done, and then it was done like for real. And then Joseph said,
And enter Buzz, where,
Yes,
where
yes.
nothing gets
Now,
done
so
quickly.
right.
Uh,
So we're on the third iteration here. Yes.
Right, because at that point, we had Emra Katan come in and do percussion.
Right.
Emra is an incredible drummer and percussionist. He was out with India Ree for a while, and countless other people.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I had already known him too. We had done some work together previously. And Joseph, don't let's not forget that he's the
oh,
greatest bass player ever.
the thing I liked about this record, the first time I heard it, was between your interpretation of the songs and Joseph playing bass. I was like, this is where the album needs to live. It needs to start with bass, vocals, and hand percussion. No drums
Yeah,
whatsoever on the record. No
right.
drums, no samples. There are some electric guitars, but I think most of the guitar work was acoustic.
Hmm.
One or two, I think I played one clavinet part, and it was just one note on "Don't
Right.
Stop Till You Get Enough,"
Right.
and that was the closest we came to any keyboards on that record.
Right.
So I wanted to stay out of the mix on that because then it would be too easy to oh, let's do this and let's do that,
Yeah, and that's not. I didn't want
and
that.
that no, and that's not where the vibe was heading.
Yeah.
And to this day, that record still is, whenever I meet a new client, that's the record I put on
It's
because
so awesome.
it is so different. And I remember in 2003, I believe it was, I went to LA and I was at a conference and I put that in the hands of all five majors. Three of them didn't even listen to the record. They were just like, it's all covers. What are we going to do with that?
Uh-huh.
Two that listened to it went, oh, this is great, but it's just such minimal production. Well, fast forward less than a year later, Nora Jones comes out with an album full of covers with more production than we had.
Yeah.
And then Michael McDonald comes out with albums of nothing but covers.
Right.
It's like,
And now
all right.
it's like the biggest thing. Now,
Right.
now everybody does it, and you have to.
Yeah. And so, we were
You're
ahead of our
welcome,
time.
music
We were ahead of
industry.
our time on that. And that is a distinction about that record that I don't think anybody else has prior to that, because my saying in terms of doing a cover song is you either do it better than the original or so differently that you can't be compared to the original.
Right.
And
Which is pretty
I
much.
think we did the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll play somebody just what I needed.
Right.
Perfect example. I had no idea it was a fast tempo song.
The fast tempo 80s rock.
Had no idea. I had never heard it before.
Yeah.
So,
Tons of sequence, tons of synth keyboards and
yeah,
stuff.
as the
Yeah.
80s were prone
Yeah.
to do.
Hmm.
Here we got a nice ballad and we put a choir in there and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Um,
And kept it acoustic too. Yeah.
oh, yeah, everything on the record is acoustic.
And I also sang a minor third lower than the guy who sang the original song.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that until I heard the original.
Yeah.
But
That was The Cars, actually, by Rick
yeah,
Ocasek and The Cars, who I loved.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I used to play one of their songs on a cover gig,
Oh,
uh,
really?
Drive.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Who didn't play that?
Right.
But you know what I'm getting ready to say. Your album has one other distinction, and it's not
Not
even
just
your
one,
it's
but
it's
you
not
have.
even your album. As an artist, I've had to deal with managers before. I've had to deal with temperamental artists, all the typical stuff. But I remember laying in bed one night, the phone rings. I'm like, hello, and this is before call. We had the name pot, and I'm like, hello, Buzz. This is Melissa's mother, and I'm like, okay. You have to let her re-sing such and such. I don't even remember what the song was right now, but she was so adamant that you had to re-sing that particular song.
Yes.
And of course, we acquiesced. We did it. You know, and she was so grateful. Uh,
Yeah. Well, that's her.
Almost every time I would see her,
May she rest in peace. Yes.
yes,
That's my mom.
almost
Very
every time I would
involved.
see her, she would bring that up to me and say, that I'm so happy you had her. And I don't even think she remembered what the song was anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
but I definitely recommend anyone who's not heard either one of your albums, but especially Forward into the Past. because we took all the songs that you enjoyed from your childhood and we brought them forward. And,
Yeah.
I kind of came up with the title after watching Back to the Future, and I'm looking at
Oh, right.
your song list, and I'm sitting there going, hmm, this is kind of forward into the past. And it seemed to fit the record. And then we did that
Yeah.
little montage in the beginning of the record. Remember
Right.
that?
Yep.
Um, so where is that? Where are those albums available?
Well, you can buy them online, CD Baby or iTunes, and then you can download them and listen to them and buy the singles anywhere, like, all over the internet,
Okay, because
Spotify, Deezer, whatever.
I think anyone who's trying to develop a career singing should listen, especially to Forward into the Past, because it frees you from a lot of boundaries and a lot of preconceptions of, well, if I'm going to cover a song, I guess I just need to do it like the record or blah blah blah.
Right.
And this will take you completely out of that realm.
Yeah. And
Um,
of course, as a voice teacher, I try to encourage my students. I'm like, just listen, like whatever song, whatever cover tune is that you like, sing it a cappella and see if it feels right. Because that's how I ended up doing this.
well, and they'll feel differently.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
everything for me always starts with a groove. Like I always, if I can go just like this and start singing something, I'm like, oh, okay, that works. Because you'll find that if you're just singing a cappella, you'll find that sometimes there's so much stuff that the song really, it doesn't have the meat. It doesn't
right.
really it's not really a song.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
groove or
it
beat
lacks the melody. Uh,
right.
you
And it
know,
doesn't work when you sing it a cappella. It's like, well, those words are cool, but it's no.
yeah. I
You
mean,
don't
you try and
okay,
sing, Rihanna's Umbrella a cappella.
a cappella, yeah.
It does. It's just not going to make it
Right.
because there's
Yes.
no real melody. Um, it's just brother, brother, brother. It's just kind of
Oh, the production was great.
yes,
But yeah, it's
and
definitely not one of those, it's not a singer song.
we're still in an age where most things are producer driven now as opposed to artist driven.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of it, like if I watch like the Tiny Desk concerts and things like that.
Yeah.
There's some
Hmm.
great artists that are out there, but um,
With
what
strong songs. Yeah.
I thought I heard a statistics the other day. There's like 1.5 million new songs a week that
Yeah.
get on. Somebody somewhere at some point has to start curating all this. They really do because
Yeah.
you can't listen. Too many things get passed over,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of mediocre material out there, which has kind of become the norm.
Yes. That's
And
true.
and I get flack for saying that, but
Yeah.
oftentimes when you speak the truth,
Right.
it's a harsh
Yeah.
reality.
And I think we had talked about this the other day too. I think that there are still a lot of really great songs being written, but they don't come into the forefront because there's so much mediocrity.
Right.
Because I mean, the market is just so saturated, because everybody is releasing songs, releasing songs, releasing songs, and you can't release one and market it. It's like you have to keep coming up with another one and
Yes,
another one, so nobody even gets time to sit with one of them
that's
because
true. That's
your
a good
audience
point.
is asking for more because our attention spans are only 30 seconds. So,
So now,
yeah,
how does that transfer with your students now? Because I'm sure you have a lot of younger students,
I do,
correct?
well, both, all ages, but yes, the people that are putting out new stuff are probably under 30, but I do have some teenagers who are putting
And
out songs.
so what is their are you trying to impart some of this, to
Oh,
them?
yeah. Yeah. Yes, definitely. they can, everybody's free to write whatever they want to write.
Sure.
But what I what I like to teach is song structure and how do songs and how are songs actually created and what do you need to say, like um let's like, what do you want to write about? And they're like, well, I don't care. Okay, well, you need to care.
Yeah.
You need to care and make a decision and want to actually write something, and then practice it and write different things, practice writing it, all of these writing um exercises, I guess. And then I will help them to kind of rein things in. And I'm like, okay, could you write another verse, please? Which is so funny because I remember you saying that to me on the first record, and I was like, another verse? Like, I already wrote two. I just like I was so not I just wasn't in that space,
Well,
But it
and
was the right thing.
yeah, I don't remember the song right now that I asked you to do that with,
I
but
don't know. I'm not sure. I think
because a lot of times a repeat of the first verse works very well. If you go back to anything
I never let people do that.
well, if you go back to like Motown or the Beatles and
Yeah,
a lot of your, like, when I say Motown, I mean like Smokey Robinson, or some of your great pop writers. Um, First, sometimes they would start right off with the hook,
right,
which you don't hear too much of now.
right,
But they'd have that first verse, get to the hook. They maybe had a second verse, but if there was going to be a third verse, it was that first verse all over again.
yeah.
So that
Well, now that makes sense.
yes, because then
Yeah,
you're remembering not most of the times we remember a chorus
right,
and maybe a word or two out of a verse.
right,
Those songs, they made sure you remembered all the lyrics when the
right.
song was over.
Yeah,
Um,
and coincidentally, even further back, like I guess songs were so short, like even the 40s, super short, 50s,
60s,
and then we started getting longer in the, like, I guess what, early to mid 70s, probably, when people started
early
getting like,
early to mid 70s. When
yeah,
I remember when the Stones had Satisfaction and it came in at over 3 minutes. It was like radio wasn't sure they were going
what,
to play this,
right,
because
yeah,
that's
and then
air.
they ended up playing 6 minutes of Pink Floyd by the time the 70s were over.
Well, or Hey Jude, all 7 minutes.
Right, yeah, yeah,
MacArthur's
the classic
Park.
rock thing, and some of the disco songs went on for a while too. And
Yeah,
people
that.
were making, remember, people were making 7 inch records. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm. I remember the 12-inch, but
Okay, well, maybe that's it. It was just one song, and it like
right, yeah,
went on forever.
they were mainly in today's standards. They were remixes.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then and now, as it's gotten shorter and shorter and shorter, so now we have songs that are just barely coming in at 3 minutes again.
well, I appreciate that because I feel if you have something to say, you should be able to say it in three minutes.
Yeah.
I have a student. Excuse me. When he first came to me, he's a DJ slash producer, and he came in the first time I met him, and he started playing me some of his material, and it was like all 6 and 7 minutes long, and I was just like, oh, gee, this is
No,
painful.
stop it.
It's like I've already heard your song, first 40 seconds. So as a homework assignment, I said, I want you to come back and write a song, and he was doing more hip hop, so he had people who were rapping. I want you to come in with a 3 minute song. And he did, and it blew up for him.
Oh,
And,
that's funny.
and so now he's always very time aware.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, no,
know,
I go through that with my students all the time. I like, once, as they're writing, once, they've got the meat of the song, assuming they've got verses and choruses, or verse, pre-chorus, chorus, whatever the story may be, then it's always like, okay, we got your short intro. Let's get in there. Let's get in there, right? And then I want them to finish probably not longer than 3:20. So,
Yeah,
which is
that's
about,
respectable. That's
yeah, that's
respectable.
about right. You don't really, at this point, you don't want to go past 3:30, really.
You know,
So,
even on my jazz stuff that
yeah.
I've done, I keep longer than 3 minutes, but I do keep them under 4 to 4.5 minutes
Oh, that's
because
great. Yeah.
absolutely, because
Yeah.
I don't need, when you come to the gig, you can hear me solo for 20 minutes. You don't need to hear
Right.
that on a record because A, I don't have that much to say, but B, I'm presenting a song for you.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
just,
Well, the one thing that I have my students do once they've got the meat of it down is I have them, okay, now we're going to decide on the beats per minute. Okay. We're going to decide on your tempo. And then we're going to see how long is this song, and then see if we have room or whatever. And it's, if it's 4.5 minutes, we're going to have to make some changes. You know what I'm
now,
saying?
are you teaching things like tension and release, those kind of?
Yeah, I do, but a lot of times I'm dealing with, we discuss it, but a lot of times they're going to be getting that from the production, basically. So not that they should only be getting it from production,
Right.
but yeah, it's, you know, I'm okay. So we talked about this too. Is the whole thing like with songs that just keep, they're almost like beats,
Well,
where they
and
don't
that's
actually
exactly
have
what they
song.
are. They're
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to have two chords for 3.5 minutes, and you're going to let the producer decide how it feels to everybody else. And you're just going to like say, okay. So we have discussions about that because, as you know, I'm actually cool with stuff like that. Like, I don't mind listening to Khalid do nothing for 3.5 minutes. I'm okay with that. So I don't mind. Now, he might have the chord changes, he may not. Some of the songs are still really good, but I do encourage and push my students to give me more. So, like, I want them to give me a verse. I want them to give me a pre-chorus. I want them to make chorus with different melodies and a build.
yes, and
You know,
melodic structure. Are you like I always try and take with students the question and answer um, approach. Your first line, that's your question.
mm-hmm.
Answer it, because too many times I hear da 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 da. Da, 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 da. They just sing the same
Yeah.
lines over and
Oh, yeah.
over,
That happens
and
all the time. Yeah.
and all I'm saying is you can go la da 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 da. Change it. Just
Right.
keep the same meter structure, but
Right.
you know. So I try and get uh, people, like if I'm working with singers or even instrumentalists, even if you're going to solo, it should still be question and answer,
Yeah.
because in the
Yeah.
long
I
run you're
like to.
telling a story.
Yes, exactly. And one of my students today was telling me nobody tells stories anymore. She's like, and she's young. She's only like 26 years old. She's like, so many singers are just like singing straight nothing. I'm like, oh, you don't say. Do you know what I do all day long? Because, she wants to be able to interpret better and, those kinds of things. But so she's working on some more old school stuff because she's like, this person's a great storyteller. They're just singing this song and
Right,
really,
as long as they
oh,
understand what they're singing as well.
yeah. Hmm.
Because I still remember
That's a big part of my job for sure.
I bet, because I remember an episode of American Idol when Harry Connick Jr. was the piano player,
Uh-huh.
or the one of the
He's a
judges,
judge. Yeah.
and a girl came up and sang "My Funny Valentine," and everybody was just going nuts, and he just went, "Do you know what the line 'is your figure less than Greek' means?" And she just was like a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That's why I'm not going to give you a hard pass on, I'm not going to get
Hmm.
behind you on this, because you don't know what you're singing about."
Right.
And
I do actually have those classes with people. I do. I'm like, what is this song about? And they're like, well, and then they repeat the lyrics to me. I'm like, no, no, no.
no, no,
What's it about?
right.
What's it about? Because you're not singing like you have anything to do with it. You have nothing to do with it. You're not telling me anything. You're singing this, you know?
So you teach what, 6 days a week, 5?
Mm-mm. Four, usually four, sometimes five.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And so you have a pretty wide load though in those 5 days.
Yeah, I'm full. Yeah,
Yeah.
usually it's full.
So you work.
Always making room for new people.
Yeah. So you're still working with Jan Smith. You started out learning from her, and now you're working with her.
Yes,
Uh,
she in between. I did an apprenticeship with her.
right now, she has a studio. It's based here in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Um, Tell people about Jan. A lot of people, a lot of people probably know more about her than they think they do.
Oh,
The reason I say that is because I remember there was a show that TLC had on that,
oh, their documentary. Oh no,
yeah,
no, the learning.
it was some little VH1 thing back when they had
Oh, okay, for the
music stuff.
group TLC, not
Yeah,
the channel. Okay,
right, yes.
right.
And they mentioned her. There was a Justin Bieber documentary where she was on tour with him
Hmm.
and things like that.
Yeah,
So you guys have a pretty high echelon clientele there.
we do, and um, appropriately so, and respectfully so. Jan deals with most of um, the label people.
Right,
So she, you know, her business. And she has worked her butt off for years and is unbelievable in business and just an incredible person, an incredible vocal coach, vocal producer. She's got even even a Grammy nom for producer. So she's, you know, all of us under her are doing the same thing. We're all coaching and doing um, sometimes arranging and pre-production in our own offices, doing songwriting, you know, teaching songwriting, helping people to really navigate the music business
do
as
you have
well.
like specific courses for that, so to speak, or?
No, it's kind of like each teacher, like we're all performers, we're
Right,
all, you know, singers, we're all writers, and some of us have different strengths. You know, like
sure.
we say, oh, okay, well, this client that comes in, then the office manager goes, oh, okay, well, you'd be better with Melissa or you'd be better with Heidi, depending on what their skill
What
is,
their
right?
goals are.
Yeah, and Jan, you know, again, Jan's the leader. Like she's just built up this business and we're just lucky enough, fortunate enough to be part of it. However, we wouldn't be there if she didn't have complete confidence in us doing
Oh,
what we're doing.
absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, we have a
You're getting
six.
ready to open a new office.
Yes, the new studio is going to be well, it is. It's Jan Smith Studios is now going to be Mama's Music House.
Uh,
She actually her she goes by Mama Jan.
right.
And
Yeah.
everybody
So,
knows her. And actually, Usher was the one that started that. He's the one that first called her Mama.
oh, okay.
So it started with him, really. And then, of course, like I said, she's has all this upper echelon clientele. The band Perry. She worked with
Rob
um,
Thomas.
Usher. It started with Matchbox 20 a long time ago. Yeah, Rob Thomas and Justin and uh, Keisha Cole, who's like one of
No.
my all-time faves. She also started working with Queen Naija. Um, anyway, there's a whole bunch of them.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of people that we work with over
Yeah.
there. And it's like I said, it's really a pleasure. The Mama's Music House is now not just voice lessons. We have a Peter teaches guitar and also music recording software. He teaches Logic and
Hmm.
GarageBand. And then we have a choreographer and performance coach. David, he also teaches
Oh,
sports
wow.
lessons. Yeah, he's been on tour with a lot of people. He's done like this is his thing.
Do you have like a sound stage there as well?
We not a sound stage. We have a stage
Right.
now in the new place, and it is set up. It's it is set up with audio and video, so we can record right into live recording, which
Do
is
you
really
ever do like I guess the equivalent would be like when um, piano teachers sometimes have piano recitals where they, blast out their
oh
their
well,
student.
yes and no. So our grand opening hasn't even happened yet. So for
I heard
years,
by a little birdie I'm on the guest list.
yeah, yes, this is our VIP. So you're coming in as a VIP.
Yeah,
Okay.
do I have to dress the part?
Okay. Yes, you will have to wear a gown. It's formal.
Oh, good.
So anyway,
I got a lovely strapless I've been dying to wear.
okay, good. Sequin, I hope.
Of course.
Yes.
Come on.
So, but so we haven't in a while, aside from moving to a new place and then also having online lessons, which I'm still doing, and a lot of
Right.
because of pandemic and all that. So, um, anyway, we had a showcase. We always had showcases like 1 or 2 times a year. We used to hold them at a venue, a real fabulous venue at Eddie's Attic in Atlanta, in Decatur. But so now we will most likely be having them there
Hmm.
and doing, private showcases that way, and we intend to do workshops. We intend to do um, different kinds of classes now that we have
Yeah.
kind of we also have a recording studio, which is pretty much for our clients.
Sure.
So our recording studio that is like
And
the
who's in
vocal.
charge of that?
Well, Jan, and then the engineer is Jesse Owen Aston, and he's an unbelievable artist, but man, is he an incredible engineer. Um, and then we have 2 on-site producers.
Hold that
So,
thought. Hold that thought.
okay, where are you going? He left. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, okay, seriously? Seriously, I'm going to tell a story.
These in ears were. These in
Here I
ears
go.
can be a problem sometimes.
Okay.
Hang on.
I was going to tell a story while you were gone, but you came back too soon.
Okay, so
Anyway, so what I was going to say is we have 2 on-site producers, and we also have video and photography, like for music videos and stuff. Mill
oh,
Cannon is, he's won tons of awards, including Grammys, for his video work, and he's done videos for everybody.
so you've got kind of like a one-stop shopping there.
right, which is why it's Mama's Music House, and our intention is to be the premier artist development hub in the South, if not in the country. So,
Wow.
because you can basically come there and learn anything you need to know about music, about singing, having a career, doing the promotion, doing the, whatever. So you learn your skills, and then we can help you with the business too.
Yeah.
So, and again, we all do it, so we know firsthand. It's not,
Yeah, because I see all these colleges now.
mhm.
They offer courses in production, um, songwriting. What does a degree in songwriting entitle you to? I never quite got that one. Same thing with a degree in production. The only people who validate your production are, your sales and your artist and
Yeah.
things like that. Of course, I've said this more than a million times, but when an artist's record is great, the artist is just fantastic. When their album flops, the producer
Producer
sucks.
sucks.
So production, unless you're, Quincy Jones or Rick Rubin or somebody like that, you're never going to get your props for,
Hmm.
it's very rare.
Yes, and I completely understand that, but like you said, the so much of the industry now is producer driven,
Yes.
and the people come in, it's like, oh, this hit song, well, who produced it? So people want to know who's behind the scenes now, which is great.
Max Martin.
Max Martin's the one that did it. Yeah, and not just him, but then everybody wants to know, well, maybe not everybody, but people want to know who wrote the songs, and that's getting more.
Max Martin.
Right. People are getting more interested in that. So next,
Well, he has more number one, he has more hit records than anybody on the planet ever.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
he has a formula,
yeah,
and that formula has not been tireless yet.
yes.
Not to diminish anything that he's done. Don't get me wrong.
No, it's all
You
awesome, I
know,
think.
if I could do it, you
You
know,
can, Buzz. You do it, you play it, I'll sing it. We'll be the new Max Martin, the two of us.
we'll be
Yeah. Well, actually, no. You you do it, you produce it, I'll write it, and we'll let one of the kids that I work with sing it.
there you go.
And then the three of us can be Max Martin.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to work with a lot more younger artists now. Hey, your kitty's there.
Oh, you saw her.
Yeah,
Yeah, baby.
I saw her tail. G's sitting on the couch sleeping,
Good,
so
good.
yeah, that's her favorite thing to
Needed
do.
rest.
Yeah, she's going to be 16 this year, so
So is Gabriella.
really,
You know, in
that's
2022,
81. That's 81 to you and I.
16 in April.
Well, she'll be 16 Christmas, so
Oh, okay. So she's older. All right.
yeah,
Gee.
she'll get to tell you how it goes.
Okay. So there is something that is important for me to to say here.
Okay,
I want to tell a story.
all right.
So, and you got to tell the story about my mom. I got to tell this one. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So Buzz, no. So when we did the first record,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had some demo you said that I did with Ken, which okay. Anyway, Ken's awesome. And then because you were going through a divorce or whatever, basically you had written all the tracks according to like my vocal and my lyrics and stuff, right?
Right.
You gave me the tracks for it, and it was like co-writers too. Like one of them was Rick, and a couple other people. Anyway, so and I went ahead and recorded it with Jeep, right? Well, that was still at a point in my career where like I had been singing already 9-10 years, so like I at that point I was confident about my singing. I felt good about it.
Yes,
Still
you should.
thank you, still highly critical, and still oh, that's off pitch, oh, that sounds stupid, okay, whatever. So aside from that artist drama,
Right.
there was basically I felt like, okay, that song's done, that song's done, and I would just sing it. I didn't feel like I ever really how do I put this? Basically, whatever you did, that was great because you're the producer. And then I went ahead and sang it. I do my part, you do yours. When we worked on Forward into the Past, there was a whole different experience because,
Yes.
like I said, first iteration was just me and when Tom played acoustic guitar. Then I came up with, I want to take it another step further.
And then
And
we
I got
erased all that from the blackboard as well.
right. Okay. So, okay. Then I got a little, I got a little creative with the bass and the percussion, and I really just wanted it to just be that and vocal, right? And that was cool. And then you came into the picture, and what happens is that I kept feeling like, well, okay, you kept asking me, well, what do you think? Or, was that okay? Or whatever. And I'm like, well, you're the producer. Like, how am I supposed to know? Thinking, well, what do I know? Right. because you're the professional producer. So if anything gets produced, it's going to be you. Like, why would I have anything to say? And you said,
Mm.
because you're the artist and it's your song and it's your record.
It's
And I
your
was
name
like,
on that record.
right. And so I started, but you've had to say that to me several times throughout the working through this, throughout the
A lot
album.
of artists have that experience. They don't know, they know what their role is supposed to be, but that's
Yeah.
not your role.
Right.
You
I
know,
knew that I was singing,
right? Yeah, that.
and I already had laid out like the vibe of what I wanted. And to me, it was done. And then so what happened is that it really, I mean, it totally changed my life because I had kept just assuming that I should just be quiet and let you do your work and I'm just go in there and sing it, right? And the whole thing about like that I'm actually allowed to have opinions and allowed to take part in this. And it got where like you had said it several times, and like I feel like I had so much to do with what happened there.
Yeah, and then
You
because then
know?
we couldn't shut you up.
Yeah, right.
No.
Exactly.
Uh,
Like right now. Yeah. So, but it really made such a huge difference to me to know that I had every right to be involved in my own project.
I,
You know,
I'm glad
because
you know came to that realization because
yeah.
you know
And
um,
whenever, till this day, whenever I work with the clients, if I go into the studio with them, or even like, again, technically by definition, vocal production is with, setting up arrangements and harmonies and helping basically to get the best delivery of the song,
right,
and get the best out of the artist,
the
and
best
then
performance and yeah,
best
sure,
performance from the artist, and then doing like the comping and things like that. So it includes a lot of things. So a lot of that gets done um, in the vocal lesson
mm-hmm.
because we can do it all there, and so you would call it pre-production. If I'm not actually in the studio, be that as it may, I always, because I work on all of those things with everybody. But when we're in the studio and I say, do it this way, do it this way. I say, okay, now, is that okay with you? Do you like that? Did you want to try something different? Because I'm like, they have every right to be involved. And it's
Absolutely.
like, oh my God. It's so
You
hard.
didn't spend as much time. Excuse me. You didn't spend as much time at Kala because I think we only did a few of your a few vocal things there, overdubs.
Yeah,
But
just like
anyway,
two
in the
songs or
back,
something.
I used to have a sign that said the producer is not God, and
Ah,
a lot of people used to think that was a joke. But it's like, in order for me to do my job, I need to know that you're feeling good about doing your job.
yeah.
And you can typically tell when an artist is doing something because you requested it from them or because they're
Mm,
feeling it.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I
and
have
they,
that with my vocal clients. Yeah.
yeah, and there were times where, I could see you, going out and doing a vocal, but you just weren't particularly happy with it. And
Yeah.
and maybe even in your mind you might have been, well, yeah, I can live with that. But you shouldn't have to live with that.
Right.
You should feel great about it.
On the first record, um, on the Melon album,
Right.
um, because you had already given me tracks, so we weren't actually working together.
Right. Exactly.
So it was a different experience. I was like, well, let me just go in and record these songs.
Yeah.
The production's done. Let me just go in and do these songs and then leave.
Yeah.
And there was something that I sang on there that everybody, whoever, convinced me. Like I was like, no, this is not right, or it sounds off pitch, or like it just bothered me. And I let people talk me into leaving it there. And
Yeah.
till this day, I can't stand it. And when it happened on
Why didn't your mother call that producer then?
that producer at that, she should have called Jeep. That's
That's
right.
right.
So when we did Forward into the Past, something like that happened. And it's still off pitch till this day, but it's okay because the feel was there.
and
And it totally is fine with me. And
that
I always, sometimes I even make fun of it. I'm like, you know,
that
but
is
it's
something
good.
I learned working with Curtis Mayfield.
Mm,
He did not care about your perfection. He cared that you had the feel.
yeah.
And and if you hit a clam uh, during a
Yeah.
part,
Uh-huh.
and you Curtis, let me punch that in. No, cat, you had to feel on that. We'll duck it, but and he would just
We'll
move it.
duck it. That's
He
awesome.
would duck it a little bit in the mix, but he would not interfere with that feeling. And
Yeah.
and Curtis operated totally on feel.
Yeah.
So when I first started working with him, I wasn't really producing, so to speak. So I kind of just accepted that everything has to be perfect, all the time. And that's just not how life is.
Yeah.
And, I can name dozens of records that you hear enormous clams on and don't even think twice about it unless you know they're there.
Yeah. Well, but see, now everybody is singing through autotune all the time, and everything is so perfected that I think it's not acceptable
Here,
to have
here's my
the off pitch anywhere, you know?
here's my take on that. You, myself, we came through an era where you had
Hmm.
live musicians in the studio performing together. All right, so let's say you have a drummer, a bass player, two guitar players, and a keyboard player. Right off the bat, you have three instruments that are never going to be in tune. No matter how much they sit there with their tuner, guitars are going to play sharp. It's the nature of a stringed instrument.
Mm.
You come in and you layer horns on top of that. Now you have a group of instruments who typically play flat.
Flat. Right.
So now you've got this wideness to the track. You've got a lot of headroom for a
Hmm.
vocalist to be in different areas. You don't have to be in tune.
Mm.
But now everything is done on a computer. The
Hmm.
piano, everything is at 440. If you're going to lay strings, there are string samples, and by golly, those strings are perfectly in tune. And if I call up horn patches, those horns are 440. Everything is so in tune that when you go to do your vocal, you have no room.
Yeah.
You have to, even if it's just mild auto tuning, you have to be helped
Hmm.
because you're not a machine. Did you just pick her up from the scruff of her neck?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, she has to get down now. She
If
wants a
you
snack.
if you try doing that to G, you might as well have a workout because that's 20 pounds.
Well, but
But
she gained a pound anyway.
that's my
That makes total sense. It makes total sense. Yeah.
I mean I have like 4 and 8 track masters of like Marvin Gaye. I've got Stevie Wonder's Superstition. I got 4 songs from the Sergeant Pepper's album where when you solo out that vocal, it's like
You're
they're
like, ugh.
they're good. Don't get me wrong, because people worked at their vocal. Also,
Yeah.
that's another ethic that I feel is missing. We
Well, not
encounter
with us.
we
Not with
encounter we
me.
encountered that on your record when I brought in a guitar player, a very good guitar player,
Uh-huh.
and he started playing the song, and after the first chorus, he stopped playing. And I was like,
That's right.
what are you doing? He's like, hey, you got enough, just copy and paste it.
Just fly that in.
I was like, dude, this isn't a copy and paste record.
Right.
He was literally upset that we made him play for the
Play the
entire
whole
4 minutes.
song.
and of course he was not asked back, and um,
Yeah.
but there's a work ethic that is missing now. It's a lot of instant gratification,
Hmm.
and well, I sang it. You can auto tune it, and then the way you put it in the mix and everything, it'll be great. But
Auto tune it.
yeah, one
Yeah.
one you know, I was never a huge Beach Boys fan. I couldn't relate to
Yeah, me
surfing
either.
and all that,
Yeah.
but there's some acapellas online of them doing like "In My Room" or the "God Only Knows."
Hmm.
Jeez, the vocals on those things. They didn't just walk around sing in front of a mic and go, bam, okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Hours, hours.
Yep. Yep.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I've actually had artists that, they'll give me like three passes and go, you got enough.
Yeah. No. Oh
It's
my
like, why,
God.
why don't you give me a performance? I don't mind if I have to draw a line from another take or maybe even a word, but
Right.
don't make me combine three or four different takes to come up with, because then you're just looking at a mediocre vocal at
Yeah.
best. And so I do feel that there's a little bit of that, or no, a lot of that goes on
Yeah.
nowadays.
Well, I slash Jan Smith Studios. I mean, of course, we're there so that to train people,
To develop that work ethic.
develop the. I wish, try, but the younger students are so like, well, no, that's good, and that's or they don't practice or whatever. Now I do have people that are just so into it, and that's all they do is practice. Of course,
Right.
that's nature, human nature. But you want to sit there and not just get them to understand the work ethic, but you need to practice this. You need to be really good at it. You don't need. I had a student the other day, Sarah. She's like one of my favorite singers. I love her voice. She reminds me of like Tamia or kind of maybe Heather Headley or something. Anyway, those are my favorite female singers.
Mm.
And she's unbelievable and naturally talented like that, just so gifted. And she is so uncomfortable, shy, and afraid to sing all the time. And I'm like, oh my
Wow.
God, you're so amazing. So we go in there, and this is the first time she's in the studio, and she's like freaking out. She's going to do a cover song. Her parents just want to get her, recorded or whatever.
Sure.
So she did a song by her and just nailed the whole thing. I think he went in with autotune and corrected like in two places. The song is almost 5 minutes
Yeah.
and he corrected like two notes, and you could see in there where like when you're looking at it in the software, and it's like the note could be somewhere in between here. She was in the middle, like exactly where she needed. Always unbelievable.
That's great
Unbelievable.
that somebody has that type of pitch.
I know, but she also sounds great, which is what's really cool.
Yeah.
So
Well,
to develop her more as an artist is something I'm really looking forward to, because she is definitely afraid and doesn't understand her voice, and she can do so much stuff. I look forward to developing her as an
and
artist.
I think for a lot of young artists out there, it's a shame if they don't have someone like yourself or Jan Studio to
Hmm.
work with or go to, because we
Yeah.
we tend to get these totally unrealistic ideas of what things actually are,
Yep.
and it's you have to have somebody who's going to be honest with you. Your friends are never going to be honest with you. They're always going to tell you you're great and you sound
Yeah.
wonderful, and
Yeah.
oh no, that's a great song. But are they going to plop down money for that song? Mm, you know.
Right.
So
They'll take it if it's free because they're your friend. Can I
right.
get a free one?
So you definitely need, um, that's where teachers are just invaluable
Yeah.
because they're not there to be your friends. Though we make friendships along the way. I have several piano students who I had one of them help me move years ago, a
That's a
few
good
years
friend.
ago. So that's a good friend. We keep
Yeah.
him. But, you know, I still have to, for that hour every week, I have to sit there and go, I think you can do this better. I think if you approach it this way.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just, there's not enough people that value. I guess they feel they get enough teachers in school. They don't need it for something they enjoy.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite.
Right.
Go to the ones that you enjoy. You can, stay in school, don't do drugs, but you know, put your energy where your passion is.
Hmm.
And I feel that so many people um, just think it's all very easy and magical.
Right. Because
And
people are putting songs out like this, and here we
and
go. We're
what
searching.
makes
Yeah.
what makes it easy and magical are people like yourself who spend hours with that person so that they can make it look easy and natural and magical.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah.
Because nothing worth having comes. I wish we could all just go, I'm so talented. Whatever I do is, it doesn't work that way. We may like it and our friends may like it, but when you start getting on a peer to peer basis, um,
Hmm.
they're not going to lie to you.
Right. Yes. And I
Um,
absolutely do not. Because it,
so I applaud you on that. And I know you can be brutally honest, so I'm not.
yes. Well, hopefully it's not brutal when it comes to
Well,
my
no,
clients.
I
But
think
yes,
I think
and
we've learned how to finesse uh,
yeah,
our displeasure a little more.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Sometimes I am a little blunt and it might be painful, but I also like to laugh with my clients and, like get a kick out of it. You totally screwed that one up. Ha ha ha. Like,
yeah.
because that's why we're practicing. It's why you're learning.
Now, wasn't there a period of time where you left Atlanta for a few years? You went to Nashville,
I
right?
did. I went to Nashville for a few years. Yes.
And you ended up working with country artist Joe Nichols.
I did. Yeah. He was amazing. I did a lot of, it's funny because Nashville is so inundated with talent. Then it's like everywhere. Everybody is so good. It's crazy.
Wow.
And I didn't even bother singing. I mean, I don't sing country, but there's other,
Oh, there's more going on
yeah,
there.
there's a lot other things going on, but like I didn't really even pursue it because I'm like, look, they sing circles around me. I'm just going to teach. I did some studio work. I did some backup vocals, and there was a producer that I knew that my voice, that I have more of a soulful voice, and did that kind of stuff. So
Right.
he used me a couple of times for some things, but I didn't really pursue it very much. I did teach, and I got a lot of Belmont students who
Hmm.
were, Belmont University, the Performing Arts School.
Sure.
So I got a lot of clients. I lived really close to there.
I have a
And
nephew that went there.
yeah, me too.
Little Brock. You remember
Yes,
Brock? Yeah,
yes.
he went
He's
there.
not little anymore, but
No,
yes,
he's like 22, 23.
yeah. So I
Dating
also had students
ourselves.
at MTSU from the music school there at MTSU, which was awesome. I also somehow or another, just the people that I know, managers, somebody's turns out um, Joe Nichols, is a huge, famous country artist, and um, he had taken like 4 or 5 years off, and I heard that it was like just personal issues, and
Right.
everybody takes their time off, so who knows? But when he was coming back on the scene, he was doing a cool thing for the Songwriter Hall of Fame thing in New York, which I am also a proud member of.
Mhm.
And he, his manager at the time, knew somebody, ended up in my house. I taught out of my home, and I worked with him on this particular event and saw him a few times, and he was unbelievable.
Hmm.
His voice is so beautiful and fabulous. It was really a pleasure, and they just kind of wanted me to help him with this one thing, and I guess because he had been he had been on hiatus, if you will,
Right.
from reading it
So,
with confidence, and he was going to be singing with John Bon Jovi, and he was like a little insecure about it. So I worked with him on that, and the event
hmm.
went really well. Next thing I know, he has me in the studio with him when he was recording his, I don't know which album it was, but it
The
had
good one.
the good one, yeah, the best ever
No.
done. And the best record that he ever did. The song was called Believers, and the record company at the last minute wanted him to sing it and add it on his record that he was going to be
Oh,
releasing.
wow.
So I went in the studio with him to do that one, and was fortunate enough to work with Brent Rowan, the producer, who, huge famous
Yeah.
guy with, Anyway, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Very
No,
cool.
I actually brought you in to work with a group I was producing. You remember the Three
Oh, right.
Degrees?
Yeah, 3 degrees. Yep.
Um, there was there we were doing redoing their big hit, When Will I See You Again?
Yes.
And Valerie was struggling with it a little bit,
Yeah.
and I just kind of sat back. That was the first time I really got to watch you work from that side of the glass.
Yeah.
Where we were both on the same side, but I got
Yeah.
to sit back and see. Let's see what she does,
Yeah.
and you definitely helped her. I mean, from where she was when that session started to where it ended up. I mean, it was just night and day.
Yeah. And that's a very different, I appreciate that. That's also a very different situation because they, of course, their hit was a long time ago, even though they've been doing this for years and years, no formal training and bad habits and all kinds of things. So
Right.
it's really just about me helping with, okay, I can't teach you to sing at this point. This
No.
is who you are. This is how you sing. Let's figure out how we can make this work, you know? So
Yes.
sometimes that happens too. So that's a cool
Well,
experience.
fortunately, you didn't have to work with the entire group. So no, I mean that in the sincere way that
Okay.
you got to focus just on the lead singer.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, because the way they would do all their background vocals together, and they still did it the old way, all huddled around a microphone, and you take a step back, let's find that blend, and those
Right.
kind of things. And did I ever let you hear that record, that
I don't
album?
think so.
Next time I see you, I'll give
Okay.
you a copy because it turned out really well. Uh,
Oh, good.
it did very well for them in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
They can't release here because of the name. Their old manager, who's no
Oh
longer with it,
no.
kept their name, so they can't work in the U.S. under the 3 degrees. They can go anywhere else with it.
And why after all this time would you not just let it go?
He's passed away, and his wife won't let it go. It's something that
But they're not making any money off of it.
they're
I
not,
mean,
no.
right.
But
So
I guess it's the idea that they own the name.
oh,
So, and it's not like they can throw three other girls out there because
mm-hmm.
because you have to have at least two of the original members to maintain the
To
name.
you it right. Mm-hmm.
So, but that
So
becomes a whole other thing, which gets entailed with the music business, which is why people should learn about the music business
right.
along with. Now, I'm not particularly business minded, but I do understand some basic concepts. I know, like when I worked for a label, if I did a record, I had an obligation to the record label and to the artist.
Yeah.
That becomes a whole other tightrope
Yeah.
that you have to walk.
Right.
Um, so like doing an independent album such as yours, that that was joy. That was pure joy
Yeah.
every day. That was worth driving the hour or riding the hour out to Vic's place to record
Oh
that.
yeah.
Remember we did that at Vic Stafford's studio,
Hmm.
and he
Yeah.
was
Do you know that his neighbor was a student of mine for a couple of years because he referred her to me.
oh really
Yeah, Joanne, this girl Joanne yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, she took
Well,
a
and I've referred students to you.
you have.
Yes,
Oh yeah, Mark. Yeah.
Mark is
Probably
is
some
one
other
that
people.
actually followed through.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I get
Very
other
cool guy.
students that kind of go through the same thing that we were talking about. Is like they're willing to invest in all this stuff except where it really matters.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, um,
They got
I
all kinds of equipment.
well, and I'm going to pay this guy $100 for these beats.
Right.
Okay, you
That's
know,
great.
but you know, I digress.
Yeah.
So, um, I think that I think we've covered quite a bit. I hope. Do you have any? What advice do you have for anybody who's really trying? And I know we've kind of touched on this throughout the conversation, but if you had to do it succinctly, what advice do you
Oh,
have for somebody who's
succinctly?
well as succinctly as you're able to pull off? You go
Okay, so advice to somebody who wants to do what?
to be an artist and a performer.
Okay, because I you have to differentiate between whether somebody wants to make a living being an artist or do they just want to get better at singing or
Yeah, no,
do they want to
we're
be
talking
famous.
fame aside because
Okay.
that is such a fleeting word. I mean,
Yes.
you know, you can be famous. I know singers that have 1 million downloads on Spotify and they're not famous.
Right,
Or,
exactly. That
you know,
which is what I tell people. I mean, you could be out there making a six-figure salary and have nobody like then you say your name and they're like, "Who?"
who?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Meanwhile,
So yeah,
you're
so not
raking it
famous.
in.
Just I want to have a career in music. What do I need to equip myself with?
Okay, well, let me get more specific. Let me also say in singing, because
Yes,
in
yes,
music,
because that's your thing.
yes.
I
So
have a different thing
in
for
singing, you
production.
have to. I think the way the business is, you need to be able to understand business and understand that it's music business, so that uh, you have to hone your skills, be really good at what you do, and understand that it takes years to do all that. And while you're doing all that, you can also be trying to do all kinds of things. You can try to be getting gigs, you can work with musicians, you can learn music theory, you can take a performance class, continue to take your voice lessons, so it's really just so that it's multifaceted. So if you don't want to be a songwriter, get clear about it. Don't be a songwriter, but understand what it is that you do. So it takes yeah, you can write a song and sing really well and put the song out, but then what? You just put out like a mediocre song really quickly for a couple $100. Well, good for you. You
Yeah,
want to actually make a living, then you must be good at what you do and understand all aspects of how to play your instrument and how to work with musicians and educate yourself. So because if you work independently, so you're not famous, you work independently, then you want to make money, you need to understand how music makes money. How do you
you,
do that?
you need to state your goals to yourself clear, and they
Yeah,
may change along the way.
it might change. And some of my students don't have any idea that there are other ways to make music. They don't understand that there's other ways to make money. It's like doing voiceovers,
Yeah.
or being like one time I was actually reading for I was reading books to make, I was making them audiobooks,
Hmm.
recording audiobooks
Okay.
for people because this was for blind people. So they had a radio station. Yeah, right. They had a radio station for specifically so that blind people could listen and you would read these books.
Hmm.
And they would listen. It was, before audiobooks or whatever, I guess. And they just, we did.
Pioneer.
Yes, right. So there's just so many ways, and for performance and doing demo singing and all kinds of stuff that you can do where you can make money
Yeah.
singing or make money selling your records or all kinds of things. So yeah, the goals not only you need to find out what's available to you, but how about if you and be open to yes, letting them change and
And be realistic about those goals.
yeah.
I'm not going to walk out. At one point, I thought of myself as an artist, as a recording artist, and I was going to be part of, the next Earth, Wind, and Fire or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Along the way, that kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that I was having more fun hanging out in a studio,
Yeah.
being the guy on a record. And then I realized, I really don't like playing on records. I like
Oh,
putting them
funny.
and it, yeah, because if you, well, you wouldn't necessarily notice, but I never put myself on anything that I've produced. If maybe as an overdub, but I'll never put myself on the main track. While
Yeah.
when people are in the room recording, I can't be objective because then I'm just going to hear who's this guy schlocking around on the keyboards there. You know,
Right.
so um, I realized that I enjoyed being that guy more than I
Yeah.
enjoyed being this guy.
Yeah. I
And
love being in the studio too, but performing is huge for me.
yes,
I love it. I'm good at it and I love it.
and see, I before any gig, I just want to throw up. And
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. I've always said that if I get to the point where whether I'm playing a little bar in town or in front of 100,000 people, the day I don't feel like I'm going to lose it is the day I need to walk away from it
Right. Yeah.
because then it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But if I can avoid,
I'm always really nervous,
yeah, but
but I
if
don't
I,
care. But I also
well,
feel the same way about teaching. Like, as long as I've been doing it, I mean, I'm still like, oh, am I going to say the right thing? And,
I
what should
go
I
through the
work
same
on with
thing,
this?
especially with
Yeah.
a new student.
Yeah.
I had a new student today, and I was anxious about them coming. Are they going to like me? Am I going to be what they're hoping I'm going to be? And blah blah
Right.
blah. Uh, I've never had someone go, I just can't stand this guy.
Right. Yeah.
Which knock on wood, but by the same token, I go through those same fears.
Yeah.
They're just
But
not.
once I teach the first person, I'm like, yes, I love this job. So
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I had two times in my life. As a kid, I wanted to teach, and I always wanted to sing. And then at some point I was in college actually, and I just like I had that dream,
Hmm.
which is how we ended up with that song, right? So I had this
The one
dream
that's going to be on my record
eventually,
that
yes.
you're going to need to sing.
Yeah. So that song came from a dream that I had, and I woke up and I was like, I want to sing and I want to teach. And it just was very like those are the things I want to do. And lo and behold, I'm doing them.
I'm teaching
So
singing.
right, I'm teaching singing, but I've also, been
Yeah.
singing and been teaching. And it's just,
Do you still do gigs at all?
I haven't. I haven't since
I mean, I
even
know, for the last year we haven't, but
well, even before pandemic, I kind of, I moved, my mom was sick and
yeah,
dying.
that's true.
So it's been a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a few years.
Do you
And
miss it?
yeah. Yes, I do.
So I think it's safe to assume that at some point you'll be welding that microphone into your hand again,
Yeah.
or at least at different times.
Yeah. I did one performance. It was with me and Alan Cook,
Yes.
and I had a band with me, and it
Mhm.
was at Red Clay. I think that was 2000. 15 or 16. That was the last one, and it was a
Wow.
Melissa Ewan gig. It was really cool. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Melissa, I appreciate you taking some time out to talk with me.
Thank
Hopefully,
you, Buzz. I'm so glad you asked me.
of course, hopefully we'll get to talk in person. Well, we will when I come to this VIP event.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
when is that? November?
No, but I'm not telling you because it's just for you.
It's going to be
Not
right
everyone.
around my birthday again, isn't it?
Yes, and not everyone needs to know. It's a private event.
Well, yes, it's a private. We don't have to tell them where it's at.
Okay.
But maybe at some point you can share the date with me so I can put it in my calendar.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have someone secretly send you an envelope.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Slip it under your
Hermetically
car.
sealed in a
Yes,
jar of
yes.
mayonnaise by Duncan Wagnalls.
Exactly.
So,
We will get the information to you.
okay, good.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for the evening, and
Okay.
because I think G's starting to wake up from her nap, so that means I have to pet her for a little bit.
Okay, and Gabriella wants her snack.
Well,
So
there you go. So
perfect timing.
our cats tell us what to do.
Yep, they do.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Okay, talk to you soon.
We'll see you soon. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, baby, I'm walking away. I'm looking for sunshine. Seems like clouds keep chasing the sun away. You say everything's alright. Sometimes words are just a game you play. I know the secret behind your smile. You hear me knocking up on your door, baby. You won't let me come inside. No, no, no. I'm tired of standing out in the rain waiting. Waiting for some sort of peace of mind. That's why I'm walking away, baby. I'm walking away. I got something to say to you. I got something to say. I said I'm looking for sunshine, shady. Come and some sunshine. That's why I'm walking away. It's like we're from different planets. I guess I'm Venus and you are Mars, yeah. I really wish that you could come my way, yeah. You don't even try to make a stop. That's why I'm walking away, baby. I got something to say to you. I got something to say. I said I'm looking for sunshine, shady. Come and some sunshine. That's why I'm walking away. I am walking away, baby. I'm walking away. I got something to say to you, and it goes like this. I'm looking for sunshine, shady. That's why I'm walking away. Last night I picked up the phone, anticipated. I thought I heard you speak your mind. Just for you keep playing. Click, click, you better check that line. So I'm walking away. Yeah, I've got something to say to you, and